character, Marisa, makes a major change in season 2, doesn't she? She spent most of season 1 chasing Hanna, but now she seems to be her biggest ally. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I think in season 1, she had her own self-interest as number one. She was trying to protect herself, and taking Hanna out was really just in order to protect herself, because she had told important people that it was all tied up. And at the end of season 1, she decides to put somebody else in front of herself. She kills Sawyer in order to protect Eric and Hanna and Clara. And that might have been the end of the story. She might never have seen Hanna again. But when Hanna does reemerge, she just decides to keep on that track. And she does it with as much fierceness as she had tried to protect herself in season 1. This time it's just for the benefit of someone else.
And why do you think she makes that change?
Oh, somewhere in the second or third episode, Hanna says, "Why are you helping me?" And she says, "I don't know." And I think she's being honest. I think it's mysterious even to her, but something in her just cannot tolerate any more waste of life, at least as far as Hanna's concerned.
So you are new to Hanna this season. Tell me about the character you play.
Well, I play the most wonderfully fascinating character written by David Farr in the second season of Hanna. Turns out the whole time during Hanna season 1, my character, Jon Carmichael, was working behind the scenes to develop this program where young women, really from the embryonic stage onward, are brought up and trained to be a military tool, a corps of young female assassins. So Jon Carmichael is the architect of that, and he is on the ground in England making sure that this final phase of training goes well, right before he launches his young spy charges into the world.
And Hanna becomes one of those spy charges. What does he think of Hanna? He's pretty impressed with her, isn't he?
Of course. Hanna is his creation. He's thrilled. He can't believe that she is so well trained. How did that happen? Eric Haller is responsible, of course, but Carmichael may not know all that. All he knows is that one of them emerged from the forest after 15 or 16 years, during which time Carmichael DNA enhanced actually refined that process so that they were even easier to control.
Esme, your character kind of becomes a bit of a master of disguise this season, doesn't she? Tell us about that.
Well, I luckily got to have beautifully flattering short hair that's like cut like that, but I think it works for the character. That was ironic, by the way, when I said beautifully flattering. But yeah.
You didn't love the look.
It wasn't my favorite of the looks, but it was necessary. It was cool that she did that, but it wasn't my favorite. No.
Well, tell me about how her relationship with Marisa changes this season.
They become a lot closer, and it's really interesting to see them shift from arch enemies to almost like this mother and daughter dynamic thing happening. But obviously, because of their past, there's still a lot of tension and conflict, and it's just interesting how those two characters navigate that. And it's also fascinating because they both have this incredible physical capability that adds another element of danger to their relationship, and you actually see that come to a head in a really one of my favorite scenes of the series.
Yeah, there's some great action scenes this season for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yasmin, Clara, we really get to know her a lot more, but she kind of takes a different tack than Hanna when it comes to their new home, the Meadows. Tell us about how she kind of responds differently to this program.
I feel like, without revealing too much, I think Clara definitely wants a home and wants to feel like accepted, even though she has that with Hanna. She needs to find out more about herself and where she comes from. So she definitely goes on a journey with that. And with the U-Tracks, it's kind of a bit of a distraction, but we see if they can pull her in.
Anya, I want to start with you. Part of your super assassin training this year involves getting an actual name, not just a number. So tell us about the program at the Meadows and your character's reaction to it.
Yeah, so I mean, up until this point, all of the UTRAX girls have just been mainly doing combat training. That's how they've filled their lives. And now they've been moved to this other facility called the Meadows, which is their next phase of training, which is all the social elements. Because ultimately, these girls need to be able to navigate the real world. And that involves a lot of social things and like knowing about pop culture and stuff, and having a real identity.
Gianna, what about your character? Tell us about her. She's very different from Sandy, but they have a relationship, a close friendship.
Yeah, I think it's one of those classic situations of opposites attract. Jules is potentially inherently a very kind of rebellious, mischievous person, and she's given an identity that is of someone who is quite sort of curious, inquisitive, intelligent, and I think probably the kind of the rebelliousness in her is something that she was definitely born with. She takes on the identity to an extent, but I think there's definitely things she has questions about and disagreements with. And I think through all of that, I think the bit that she didn't expect or doesn't know anything about is what it's like to be a friend and to have a friend. And I think she does adore Sandy, whether she would say that or not. I think they are very close, and she cares a lot about Sandy. And definitely Sandy's the one that keeps her human, I guess, when she can kind of go off on one.